Hey, que Pasa Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Before we begin today, like always, I want to thank my sponsors, my anchor sponsors, Jake, Sergio, and Jonathan. Thank you guys for sponsoring me. And also David Gastelum, if you're thinking of buying or selling a home or an investment property in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure you contact David Gastelum. He's got over 20 years of experience. His number is 760-235-9576. Today we're here at Fitness Oasis
Health Club and Spa.
And we're here with the Executive Director of the Humane Society of Imperial County, Mr. Devon Apodaca.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you for finally meeting with me.
Thank you.
We've been trying to get this, going for a while now. And a while back, I said that Gil Revelar was one of the hardest working men in the county, but I think you take the cake this time, man. You're always super busy.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
A little bit about myself. Well, I'm 32 years old. I became executive director of the Humane Society when I was 26. Wow. I was born and raised here. I moved away to Cal Poly Pomona. I lived on campus. I was going to school there. I was in the pre-vet program. And then I moved back in, I believe it was 2012, just for summer break. And then I got, I was working on and off at the shelter. Well, I've been at the shelter for 12 years this year. And during like Christmas and summer break, I would come home, work at the shelter. And then, in 2012, summer of 2012, I decided, to just kind of get a little bit more involved and, things, there was some momentum going with a few things. And then when school came back up, I was like, maybe I'll take a little bit of a break and try to get things going, a little bit further with the shelter. And, I ended up not going back. So, in 2013, at the end of 2013, there was a position for a new director, and the board of directors were looking for someone, and there was no one available, and they asked me to kind of if I would stick around for the interim and take over, and still nobody showed up, and so they asked me to stay, and I said yes, and so 5 years later, I'm still here.
And have you ever had this passion for animals, or did it's something that later on in life?
I've always had a passion for animals. Ever since I was a little kid, I knew that I wanted to work with animals. Like I remember being in preschool. I think I was in preschool, and I remember our teacher asking us, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember saying I wanted to be a veterinarian. I've had animals my whole life. I've been around them my entire life. And I knew from a very young age I wanted to help them. I wanted to work with them. And even though I didn't become a veterinarian, I'm still helping animals in other ways.
Do you think that you'll someday in the future, finish that?
I'd have to quit my job and move away. Maybe one day, maybe.
What's one of the most exotic animals that you've worked with, like here in the?
We've had skunks. We've had skunks come in through the shelter, coyotes, possums. I didn't even know we had possums here. A lot of like owls, hawks, turtles, desert tortoises. And then I don't even know what kind of lizard it was, but this thing was like 8 feet long. Yeah. It was like an alligator. It was really aggressive. We ended up sending it to like some guy out of the county that he handles like large exotic animals, and he ended up keeping that thing.
You're somebody that's really like outspoken and on Facebook when it comes to like people mistreating or abandoning like animals, or even like people that are negligent as to like making sure that their pets are spayed and neutered. Do you? Because I'm sure you get a lot of backlash from the community because you're like, you don't care, you don't have a filter, you're like.
Well, I mean, I try to not. I've learned over the years, that what's the saying? You get you get more bees with honey than you do vinegar or whatever. In the past, when I would see things, I used to get very upset when I would see people mistreating animals or, not spaying and neutering their pets, or, there was a number of things that I would get upset at. But I realized one day that, not everybody knows what I know. Not everybody knows what my staff knows. It's kind of like, when you go to the mechanic and you did something stupid to your car and you didn't know that was stupid, and the mechanic, why would you do that? It's, I kind of have to put myself in that position and realize that not everybody knows what I know. Yeah. And, all I can do is educate them and kind of like plant the seed and hope that things go right. So over the past couple of years, I've learned that, instead of getting upset, I need to just be, take the time to, hey, what, actually that's not, the proper way to do things, and calmly explain to people, what to do, what not to do, how to handle certain situations, and how they should or can be a good pet parent. Yeah. But even then, like, sometimes people just don't want to hear things. And at times I do have to defend myself. People attack me on social media a lot. I get it like every day. I see something about me that I didn't even know that I did that, and everybody knows my business, but, which is fine. But when things do get a little out of hand, and they do sometimes, and I do step in, and I don't use profanity or anything like that. I just very, calmly, that's not correct. This is what happened. These are the facts. And usually people, oh, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah. Thank you for explaining.
And that's a good way of thinking, because I work in technology I work in a school, and we have a lot of, teachers that have been in the business for a long time that are used to the old school style of teaching. Yeah. They're not used to using technology. So that's a good way to think of, they don't know what I know, and I gotta kind of like teach them.
I think because I've gone to quite a few conferences, trying to, learn new things for the shelter, and trying to better myself. I want to make sure that I'm the best executive director that I can be, for the shelter and for the animals. And I've, during those conferences and just speaking to other shelter professionals, I've learned a lot. And that there's a lot of different ways to approach certain situations, and using, being aggressive is not a good approach to things.
Yeah. Cause they'll block you right away.
Yeah. You turn people off, and there's a negative association, and they don't want to be part of that. So,
often we think, pets as a good Christmas present or birthday present. We're not really thinking of the amount of work it goes into, like having whether it's a cat or a dog or whatnot. How many do you think there's a large amount of pets that get abandoned because of that was because of the situation where?
Oh yeah. So several years ago, we didn't have certain policies in place at our shelter. And we got a lot of people coming in to adopt puppies and kittens for their children, or for the grandson, or for a nephew, a niece, or, granddaughter, or what have you. And the staff and myself, we would always say, come February, when that puppy's not a puppy anymore and it's not cute, it's probably going to come back. And we did have a lot of people, they would adopt around the holidays, and then the animals would be returned a few months later. And it was always the same excuse. Oh, the kid doesn't take care of it anymore. And so, about 2 years ago, we put in some pretty heavy, screening processes, or screening protocol in place, to avoid those things from happening. Because it's very stressful when an animal goes, from a home to the street to a shelter to a home and then back to a shelter. That is extremely stressful for an animal, and it's not in the best interest of the animal to have to go through that. So what we try to do with that screening process is, kind of filter through people. And, we explain everything to people. I want to adopt a dog, a kitten, whatever, for my son for Christmas. He's been wanting a puppy forever. And, we tell parents, okay, but ultimately, you're the adult, you're going to be responsible. You can't expect a 7-year-old child to be responsible for another life. So it's going to be, all fun and games for the first 2 weeks. And then like a new toy, it's not fun anymore. And then they're going to want something else. And a lot of parents, they tell, I didn't think of that. That's a good way to look at it. And some people, they leave and they don't adopt. And some people say, no, we understand, we're going to be responsible ultimately. But since we put those protocols in place, we have noticed a significant decrease in animals being returned for things like that.
Yeah, because having a lot of people compare it to having like a little kid, and in reality, it is because you can't leave your house for if you have them inside in a crate or whatever, you can't leave them inside for too long. Like to me, like it's like my day kind of revolves around my dog, where like I wake up a certain time and I know she wants to go to the restroom at that time. She comes and eats, takes a nap. It's a routine that.
Yeah. No, and that's what I tell people, animals are people just in fuzzy costumes. And they're like children, but a lot of people, they think that animals are like these empty vessels, and they're just, when you're done with them, they're like an old pair of shoes, you get rid of them. And no, animals, they're not. They feel pain, they feel anger, they feel joy, they become sad, they get happy, everything that we go through, and illnesses. There's animals, they have a beating heart, they have a brain, they have blood, just like people do. Everything that we go through, they go through as well. They don't maybe express it the same way that we do, but they do. And that's why it's important for people that have pets to understand that having a pet it's a lifetime commitment, the lifetime of the animal, and that they need to be loved and respected and treated right, just the way you would with a family member or a child or any other person.
Yeah, whenever I go on vacation, not vacation, but like on a training that my wife's at home, she's more stressed about me not being there because of the dog, because she's like, well, I'm the one that wakes up, all that stuff. Like she gets stressed about that, but yeah, that's something that my friends that tell me like, oh, I want to get a dog or whatnot. I'm like, you know what, it's a task. It's something that
and that's one thing that we like to we want people to understand as well, is you have to incorporate the animal into your lifestyle. You have to, it's kind of like when you have a baby, you have to completely change. Now, I don't have kids, but I know a lot of my friends have kids.
Yeah.
And I've seen the changes that they had to make when they first had that baby. And it's the same thing with the animal. You have to incorporate, you can't, everything doesn't revolve around, or the animal doesn't revolve around everything else, because it's like I said, it's a living being. It has needs. They go to the bathroom, they get sick, they have to eat. And so you have to incorporate that into your lifestyle. And if you work 12, 15 hours a day and you're not home at all, like you don't go home, you're there, or you travel a lot, or you're a party animal, maybe a goldfish is better, or something, or a plant.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to make sure that you are fully prepared to properly care for that life, and that no matter what happens, that you can handle any situation.
Yeah. Do you see any trends like let's say back, I think in the 90s, there was a trend where people were getting a lot of pit bulls or a lot of German shepherds. Do you see trends when it comes to like,
whenever there's like some sort of movie that comes out, we do see like a lot of people wanting to adopt, like if there's like a particular breed like that. There was a movie that came out not too long ago, and I guess there was like a German Shepherd or a Malinois in the movie, and it was like a movie about the military or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but we had people coming in left and right wanting to adopt German Shepherds and Malinois, and right now, a problem with getting specific types of breeds is that people don't do their homework before they get that breed. And a lot of times these animals have specific needs that people can't meet, like Malinois. Those are working dogs. They are bred to work. They're not bred to just sit on the couch and just lay there and be a couch potato like like a lab would, or so even labs have a lot of energy. They
Yeah.
like to play. And, you know, when these animals that have high energy levels, if they don't get to exert that energy, they don't get to play, they don't get to exercise, you are not meeting their energy requirements, they become destructive, and then people want to get them. But so like we have like right now we have between German Shepherd, Malinois, and like Malinois mixes, we have I think 14 or 15 of those types of dogs at the shelter that were all relinquished within a very short amount of time.
Wow.
Because people see movies, they get the breed, then they're like, oh shoot, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. In the movie, the dog was well trained. Well, yeah, because that dog is an actor. That dog went through some pretty extensive training. Your dog didn't.
Yeah.
You probably put him in the backyard and that was it. And, you know, then that's what happens a lot. And so, yeah, there's trends, or we get people wanting, right now, everybody wants to adopt dogs that are the size of hamsters. And that just doesn't exist. And we had a couple come in not too long ago. They wanted to adopt a small dog, and we had this little 3-pound Chihuahua, and they said that was too big. I said, well, anything smaller than that probably doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But with that, I mean, you know, you want people that want the teeniest, tiniest little, you know, and those types of animals tend to have a lot of health issues, and they don't live very long.
Yeah.
They're super cute, but they don't live very long.
Yeah. What's the capacity you guys can have at the?
The shelter was built to house only about 100 animals, and we currently have about 300. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, especially right now because the 4th of July is coming up and it's a 4-day weekend for most people. Over this week, I mean, it started last week, but this week alone has been nonstop phone calls, people wanting to get rid of their pets because they're going to leave. And it's easier for some community members to get rid of their pet instead of, you know, having a family member watch them, a friend watch them, or board them, or, you know, having a pet sitter come in. And unfortunately right now we are at our max. We're over capacity, and it's not ideal for the animals. It's not safe. It's not, it's stressful. Yeah. And so we've had to turn a lot of people away, and we're trying to tell them, your best option is to keep your pet. But if you can't, then, you might want to try contacting a shelter or a rescue outside of the Imperial Valley.
Yeah. And then you think about, the amount of pets that are going to come in because of fireworks, pets that get up.
And that's another, I was just talking to someone earlier today. We are dreading next week because we are going to be bombarded with animals, and we're already over capacity, and we don't know how we're going to be able to accommodate those animals properly.
Yeah. It's crazy because even that's another thing that you got to think about, having your pets with, this kind of event, the fireworks and stuff like that. And I have a friend that had a dog that he had for years, and he heard a bang and he ran and he got run over by a car, and he was really sad.
Yeah, it's not the day after the 4th of July is probably one of July 5th in the animal welfare field it's like one of the worst days out of the year. It is the worst day out of the year because not only are there hundreds of thousands of animals coming into the shelters or being picked up, their animal control officers pick up a lot of deceased animals on the side of the road because animals, the fireworks, they scare the animals. They become disoriented. The animals run into the streets. They get hit by cars. That's bad. Do
all dogs get affected by the fireworks? Because the other day, they had fireworks in Calexico, and my dog was with me in the backyard, and she just, is it?
I think it just depends. Every dog, just like people, they're different. And some animals are more, some animals are more used to, noises and commotion going on as to, some animals aren't. We have a dog at home, Lobo. He's a Husky German Shepherd mix. Whenever, during the 4th of July, he's just like, whatever, it doesn't bother him at all. And we have a pit bull, Nikki. She's an older pit bull. When she hears him, she freaks out and she hides. So it depends on the animal. Some animals are affected and some aren't.
Do you know if they have any earmuffs for dogs?
I I don't know if they have earmuffs or anything like that for dogs, but I know that they have there's other things like calming chews. You know, a lot of people do like aromatherapy type things. People will put like they'll those diffusers like with essential oils, like lavender or whatever to help calm the animals. There's CDs that you can buy online. I actually have one on my phone. It's called Through a Dog's Ear. I purchased it on iTunes. And whenever I have to make, like when I do my spay and neuter trips or whenever we're transferring a lot of animals to rescue groups, I'll play that record. It's about an hour long. And it helps it's like classical music that helps calm the animals. It's like scientifically proven to help calm them.
Oh, wow.
And so there's that. And then, you know, there's what they call the thunder vests. Like they put pressure on the animal and they help them feel more secure. But I don't know about earmuffs. I probably not, because they'd probably just take them off.
Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, even like when you'd see people that go to like NASCAR races and have those things, you would think that maybe there's something similar to that. Funding for the Humane Society. How does funding come in for you guys?
So our funding is mostly through donations. A lot of people think that we are funded by the city or the county or the state. Not true. Not at all. A lot of people think that there's this check that comes in every month from the state of California or for the county, or no, we don't get any government funding of any sort. We do contract with the cities. So like every city has an animal control agency, and those cities, they pick up animals. If they're not claimed within a certain amount of time, then they're brought to us, and we do charge the cities, you know, for that service to take in their animals so that we can vaccinate them. We can give them flea and tick preventatives. We can give them dewormers. We can, feed them and clean up after them. I can pay my staff. We also, we do fundraisers. We're trying to do more larger scale fundraisers throughout the year. But right now, the two biggest ones that we have are Woofaween, which is every October. And then we have our Santa Paws is coming to town. It's like a Christmas. It's like it's smaller, but it's more like a family event type thing. So is the Woofaween. But we do the Santa Paws event every December. And then we do other like little fundraisers like prize drawings, and other community members will do stuff for us throughout the year as well.
I know Calexico has kind of like a bad reputation of, you know, kind of like euthanizing pets, or I don't really know what the bad reputation comes from, but can you kind of like according to I actually had a meeting a couple of months ago with the mayor, the chief of police, and the city manager, and they said that they do not euthanize any animals at all, and that they are sending every animal that goes to their facility to a rescue group. So I don't know if that's true or not. But according to them, that they do not euthanize anything, that every animal is finding a safe place to go. And because I know a lot of people kind of misinterpret like a humane society and like a dog pound. A dog pound is only like you said, like they keep the dogs for a certain amount of time, and then
so a dog pound is like an animal control facility. So when you hear animal control dog pound, that's the same thing. The difference between like animal control or the dog pound and the Humane Society is that, you know, the animal control facilities don't do adoptions, they don't spay and neuter, they don't vaccinate, they don't do anything. They just hold the animals for their stray holds, and then once the animals are up for their stray holds, they're either transferred to the Humane Society, to a rescue group, or they're euthanized. The only animal control agency that I know in the county that does like vaccinate the animals when they come in is the county animal control, which is on Sperber Road behind the jail. But none of the other agencies do. So, but for like with Calexico, or not Calexico, I'm so sorry, with Brawley and Calipat, they don't have their own holding facilities. So what they do, as soon as they pick the animals up, they bring them to the Humane Society, and then we do the stray hold at the Humane Society for the cities, and then we vaccinate them immediately. As soon as they come in, everybody's assessed. They're vaccinated for parvo distemper. They're given, a preventative for kennel cough. They're given 2 types of dewormers, and they are given medication for a flea and tick preventative. And then, if we do notice that they're sick or they're injured, they are seen by a doctor and they're treated accordingly.
Another problem that we have in Calexico is the stray cat population.
Yep.
And there's a big, I guess, like kind of like argument about the TNR as to like, does it really work? Is it like? It
does. TNR works. You have to understand that there is this cat problem doesn't exist because of the cats. It exists because of irresponsible people. People don't spay and neuter. People aren't TNRing. And so when you have this population of animals and you're not doing anything to control it, it's going to quickly spiral out of control, which is what has happened. And the feral cat problem it's a county-wide issue. I mean, it's a nationwide issue, but specifically to Imperial County, I think Calexico has it the worst. And I think a lot of it has to do with because of the location being so close to the border. And I know animals, they go, to and from, across the border, whatever, on their own.
I've seen packs of dogs coming back.
And they're, and in Mexicali, like they don't have any, the rules and regulations are loosely enforced. So going back to TNR though, but TNR does work. I personally have seen what TNR can do and how other communities have implemented very strict TNR policies, and they've gotten cities under control. You're never going to get rid of feral cats because in a colony of 80 cats, you might get all of them fixed except that one. And that one is always going to be a female that always somehow gets pregnant. And she's always going to be like the queen of the colony. And she's just the supplier of kittens. It happens. It happens with everybody I know that does TNR. It happens to me. I maintain a small colony, and there's always that one female that you just can't catch. But, a lot of people think that if we remove all of the cats, then we'll just, the problem will go away. No, it won't. There's this thing called the vacuum effect. So when you trap a majority of the population in a colony, you did not get every cat. There's going to be a couple that were left behind, and one of them's going to be a female, and she's going to somehow get pregnant, and she's going to start it all over again. And then because that female's in heat, she's releasing pheromones, and she's letting other cats in surrounding areas know that I'm in heat. Like, hey, like let's make more kittens. And so you bring in males, and then the males bring in more females, and it's kind of like a vicious cycle. But it's called the vacuum effect. If you rid an area of the majority of the population, more just move in.
Yeah, and it helps keep other.
Yeah. So the ones that you TNR, they're truly TNR. You trapped, you neuter them, and you return them. Those cats in that colony keep other cats from coming out because they're territorial. And a lot of, what we try to let people know is that, feral cats, community cats, they're actually working cats. They have a job. And so, a lot of people they're on my car. They poop in my garden. And yeah, I can see where, how sometimes that's kind of an inconvenience for people. But at the same time, they keep down on bugs. They keep down on rodents. There's a lot of people that complain about pigeons, pooping on their cars, on their houses. They keep those birds away. So, feral cats, if you have feral cats, if you feed feral cats, you need to maintain them. You need to spay and neuter them. And when you have a small number of them, they can actually be beneficial. It's when you're feeding cats and you're not doing anything to control the population is where, too much of anything is bad.
Yeah. Do you think that the cities are the ones that need to come up with the funding for the TNR program, or is it,
If you look at almost every other county except Imperial County, you see that there are countywide. There's a set of rules and regulations that is countywide. So currently, Imperial County, when it comes to animals, every city is functioning separately. So they're not, Imperial's following one set of rules, El Centro's following one set of rules, Calexico's following one set of rules, and the county has their own set of rules. And what needs to be done is that the entire county needs to be under one set of rules, and usually there's a regional shelter for the entire county. It's not every city has their own separate little thing. There's one big county run facility, and usually that's funded through taxpayers' dollars. And so that those types of facilities usually offer services like low cost spay and neuter services, vaccine services, TNR services, but we don't, that's not happening right now in Imperial County. So right now, there's there's people out there doing TNR on their own, and they're utilizing local veterinarians in Mexicali. And then, there's, us, the Humane Society. And we're doing spaying and neutering TNR at least twice a week, sometimes 3. There's just, I think, and we're very happy to see this, but people are starting to understand the importance of spaying and neutering and the health benefits that it has to their pets. And so, we're getting phone calls every single day, people wanting to schedule feral cats to get TNR'd, getting their dog in, getting their cat in. Like yesterday, we me and a volunteer drove 2.5 hours to Joshua Tree to our friends, in Joshua Tree Animal Action League, and they helped us get 24 of the community's pets spayed and neutered. And so, and we've got, we've been working with the city of El Centro. The city of El Centro has been awesome. We've been working with them a lot to try to get some things done at the shelter specifically. And they, we did a big feral cat clinic back in, I think it was May. And we, essentially that clinic was able to spay and neuter 100 cats in 2 days. So 50 one day, 50 another day. And it was our first time doing anything like that. And so I wasn't really sure how it was going to work out, but we had a full clinic. We did 92 cats, feral cats from the community in those 2 days. And in order for us to be able to get the mobile unit down here, they needed to plug their unit into some sort of power source, and it had to be a pretty big power source. Yeah. So, this thing is a beast. Yeah, it's like a boat. And so, I asked the city of El Centro, I said, hey, there's a power box in front of the shelter. Is there any way that you guys can install something? And the city of El Centro, no questions asked, said, we want to help. Of course, we're going to do it. And within a week, we had that outlet installed, and it just everything, it was perfect. Everything fell into place.
Well, that's good that the city is willing to, because at the end of the day, it affects the city positively.
Yes.
You're trying to help them with the stray cats. Volunteers, how do if people want to help out in terms of at the shelter,
there are a million different ways that people can volunteer. Some people like to come in and walk dogs. Some people like to come in and just clean. Some people like to come in and, help feed the cats and the dogs and give them water, maintaining throughout the day. Some people like to help out at adoption events, or other events, like when we do fundraisers, people will come and help us do, whatever needs to be done there. People will help us with transporting animals to rescue groups. I usually do the majority of our transporting, but my schedule over the last year has become just super busy. And so, when we have people that are willing to help transport animals from here to LA or to San Diego, that really helps us. We're getting animals out, and it doesn't take anybody away from the shelter, from doing our daily duties. There's a lot of different ways. I did one of my info columns for the Ivy Press on I said, how do you volunteer? There's
and in terms of donations, I've seen a lot of kids donating their allowances and
Yeah,
their birthday
their
money.
birthdays. That, when it's very heartwarming to know that little kids that are, they're willing to donate their entire birthday to helping animals in the shelter. I think that's great. And we have been very blessed to have a lot of community members, and not just kids, but adults as well, doing events for us, raising funds, buying food and supplies for the animals. Last Saturday, the Imperial County Association of Realtors did a huge bowling tournament for the Humane Society and another organization. It was a great turnout. It was awesome. We're very, very, very thankful that they did that for us.
And I think there's a lot of community involvement, like local businesses that are willing to help you with having adoption days and stuff like that. I've seen, because I follow you or the Humane Society on Facebook, and I see that there's a lot of community involvement when it comes to that.
Yeah. We've usually this time of the year between April, May. So between the end of May to about early September, we're usually dead. There's nothing going on, and we're just trying to maintain the animals because there's so many of them. But for some reason, 2019 has been, knock on wood, 2019 has been very good to the shelter, to the animals. A lot of community involvement, and that's all that's what we have. We strive for is more community involvement. We want people to help us help these animals. It's not just me and my staff and the very few group, this very small group of volunteers that we have. This is a community effort. These animals don't belong to me. They don't belong to my staff. These animals were at one point, they were in a home. They were your neighbor's pets, your uncle's pets, your dad's pet, whatever. Those were someone's pets, and whatever happened, life happened, or it was just they didn't care anymore. These animals ended up in a shelter. So that's why we're constantly asking for help, and the community has heard our cries, and they're stepping up.
Something that I'm talking about community and Facebook and stuff like that. I often see people trying to sell dogs and I'm like, man, there's a lot of dogs in the Humane Society that. Yeah,
I see posts on Facebook every day. I get tagged and stuff. There's people out there who they have animals, whether they have litters of puppies or kittens. Sometimes it was an accident, sometimes it was just they didn't care to get their animals fixed. Things happen, life happens, whatever, accidents happen. And all you can do is encourage those people to spay and neuter, whether they're people selling them online, the buyer or the receiver of that animal, encourage them to spay and neuter and become a responsible pet parent, get them into the vet for their vaccinations, make sure they're spayed and neutered, make sure they're microchipped. Do everything you can to ensure the health and safety of your pet and that they live a long, happy, healthy life. And then, for people that are selling them, that constantly have accidental litters or just all you can do is just encourage them to positively encourage people to do the right thing. And, hey, the Humane Society has a low cost spay and neuter program. It's only $55 per animal.
Normally, what's if you would take them to a vet?
If you go to the vet, it depends on whether the animal's male or female, and it depends on the weight of the animal. So, if you have a 90-pound dog, it's going to cost you probably around $200 or more. And where for cats and dogs, it's just $55. Well, we have two programs. We have two spay and neuter programs. One is through a vet that we use in Mexicali that we highly, highly, highly trust. And she's awesome. She does a lot for the animals that come into the shelter. So that doctor alone single-handedly is doing a lot of good for Imperial Valley's pets or homeless pets. But so through her, for feral cats, it's $25 to get them spayed and neutered. If you have a dog or a cat that's your pet, it's $55, but if you have a dog that's over 40 pounds, it's $75. Through our other program with Animal Action League, it's $55 flat per cat or dog. Doesn't matter what the size is, if it's male or female. And feral cats through them are $10. But through the Mexicali program, we go to that doctor twice a week as to where Animal Action League, because they're in Joshua Tree, it's an hour and a half or 2.5 hours from here. We only go to them once a month. And they are trying to, since we got that outlet installed at the shelter because of the city of El Centro, they, we've been trying, me and the director of Animal Action League, she's a very good friend of mine, and we've been trying to figure out days where they can start coming to us more frequently with their mobile clinic to do more spaying and neutering for us here in the Imperial Valley.
If anybody wants to do TNR to their community cats, can they contact you, or how?
Absolutely. We, like I said, we have that TNR program that runs every week with our Mexicali vet. We do have traps that we rent out. You put a $30 deposit. Once we get the trap back, we give you your deposit back. You just have to call the shelter during business hours to schedule an appointment. Tuesday through Friday, we're open 2 to 6. Saturdays, 11 to 3. We're closed Sundays and Mondays. Our phone number is 760-352-1911. If you get a recording that says that the mailbox is full, for some reason, whenever the line is busy, the phone lines work. They work. It's just, we switched our service provider, and for instead of a busy tone, it says the mailbox is full. I don't know why. I'm trying to fix that.
But they can just leave a message in.
Well, they just need to get through to a staff member.
Oh, okay. And
whoever answers the phone can set that appointment up for them.
And is there like a website, Facebook, stuff that
we currently don't do appointments over via like internet, like the website or Facebook. Because the Facebook, I do everything that I pretty much do all of the Facebook stuff, and I'm not always at the shelter, so it's hard for me to schedule like when I'm not there. Like yesterday, I was gone for 12 hours doing spaying and neutering, and then on Tuesday I was in Riverside taking animals to the shelter, and I had people messaging, "Oh, we're going to set up a spay and neuter appointment. Please call the shelter. It's busy. We'll keep calling." I'm trying to get a second line in so that we can take more calls. But yeah, if you can't get through the first time, just keep calling. You'll eventually get through.
How many pets do you have at home that you're currently?
My personal pets, I have. Let's see, I have Nikki, Lobo. I have 5 dogs and a couple of cats. I have mostly I have my little foster kittens. I call them my goth kitties. It's this litter of kittens that came in from animal control. They're all black, and it's Ozzy, Elvira, and Morticia. I love those little cats. They're about ready for adoption. I'm gonna be really upset when they have to leave. Go. Yeah. We also have a pig and a goat as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, and they're I don't think they know that they're a pig and a goat. I think they think they're people. Very spoiled.
That's crazy. Yeah, my son was showing me a video of her friend. My son's friend, dad has a pig, and he was like running around, playing with the ball. I'm like, man, this guy thinks he's a dog or something, because he was like all over the yard and having a lot of fun. Yeah. Let's see what else I want to ask you. I have a lot of. Are you talking about being bad gift ideas? Well, you always put whenever there's like a really tragic event, when a dog gets run over, you post pictures and updates, and I think that's really cool when you see a dog that's really in a bad situation, like it's really hurt, and then you see him a couple of months later running around and having all this all this fun. I think that's really, really cool, because you get to see somebody ran them over or just threw them away, and then you get them and you put them back in a good place, and then somebody adopts them, and they have a good.
Well, it's really whenever these animals come into our care, I mean, the shelter doesn't have an excess of money to handle these medical situations, And so that's why, whenever we get a severe medical case and we know it's going to cost quite a bit, we'll make a post on Facebook and say, hey, this animal came in, we need to get it medical attention immediately. And, it's going to cost us a pretty penny. And I think it's extremely important that, when people are sending donations in for that animal's care, it's very important to be transparent and walk people who donated to that, or who, even if they're not donating, if they're following the animal, they're watching the story, they're sharing the post, they're trying to encourage other people to get involved. Though it's important that people see that, if they're gonna give something or do something to help, that they see what's going on and that they see the progress of that animal, and that they know that they're, basically that they know that their donation truly did go towards helping that animal. And I want people to see that we're not just asking for money and then we, nobody knows what happened. I want people to know that, no, look, you gave us $100 donation. This is what it did for that animal. Today they're better. Tomorrow, the next day they're better. And then, eventually they get adopted or whatever.
Yeah. And it's sad when there's like that, tragic ending where the pet doesn't make. I'm always like, oh, what the heck? Like
it does happen sometimes. It does.
Yeah. Because like I said, I always follow like the stuff you put on Instagram and Facebook, and sometimes it's really like good situation. Then sometimes but it's life, Are there any local business that you would like to kind of like shout out and thank? And
well, first would be Fitness Oasis here in Imperial off of Ayton for letting us use their space to do this podcast, because we don't have any space at the shelter. Nowhere quiet. And again, I'd really like to thank the Imperial County Association of Realtors for what they've done for us. The city of El Centro for, always being so helpful in certain situations. I really have to think about it.
I always see, what's that? The tractor place.
Oh, yeah. Tractor Supply, for letting us do adoption events at Petco, PetSmart, Costco, Walmart. They donate a lot of, food to us. And, Petco and PetSmart and Tractor Supply Company, they allow us to do, adoption events there. And then I don't know when you're going to air this, but,
probably sometime today or
okay.
Tomorrow, early in the morning tomorrow.
And then, so we also have, tomorrow from 10, so Saturday the 29th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. we have an adoption event at Tractor Supply, and we're doing low cost microchipping for $20. So I'll be there doing the microchipping, and we're doing this in preparation for 4th of July. So if people's pets do get out from the fireworks, we can help get them home quickly. And then also we'll be at Petco and PetSmart from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. But we're at Petco and PetSmart every Saturday from 11 to 3 for adoptions. Okay.
Yeah. And and if anything, just make sure to follow you guys on Facebook and
our Facebook. Like I said, I do our Facebook page and I try to post on there like whenever we have something going on, update everybody on there. So please go and like the page, follow it, and for updates, that's where most of the updates go. I'm not very tech savvy, but I've gotten Facebook down, so I just try to stick to one thing. Too many things and I'll mess it up.
Yeah. Is anything else that you would like to add that I kind of missed or didn't touch on? Everyone, please remember that your pets are valuable. They're your family. Love and appreciate them. Do everything you can to care for them properly. Spay and neuter, and if anybody has any questions about spaying and neutering or adopting anything like that, please call or come by the shelter. If you're looking to make an addition to your family, a 4-legged addition, please choose adoption first, and please come by the shelter during our business hours. And we have about 300 animals that really need homes, and you'll for sure fall in love with someone. Yeah, for sure. Out of 300, there's gotta be one for you.
There's one for everyone.
Yeah.
There's one for everyone.
So yeah, make sure you stop by and if check them out and you probably know, if you don't like one, you probably know somebody that will probably like one of the pets that are there. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's hard, like, to see all these, pets, like, because ultimately we're the ones that, put them in that situation.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's animals in the shelter is mostly due to human error. And not everybody that has to relinquish a pet to a shelter is a bad person. We understand life happens. People lose their jobs, they lose their homes. Things. There's a million different things that can happen where somebody has to find another outlet for their pet, and then them coming to the shelter and trying to relinquish them because they're genuinely in a situation where they cannot care for the animal. I mean, that's the most responsible thing. I mean, I know a lot of people that have, they moved away, they couldn't take their pets with them, they left them in the house, or people, dump them out in the desert. People, people do some very mean things to animals sometimes. So, exhausting your resources is always your best option, because eventually you will find an outlet. And right, like I said, right now the shelters, I mean, we're over capacity, and we want to be able to accommodate everyone, but that's why right now when we have all these people calling in, because they're leaving, there's something happened. The only suggestion that we can make at the moment is to try to contact other shelters and rescue groups outside of the county.
So most of them are outside in the county. In the county, we
don't have any. All of our approved rescue partners are most of them are in San Diego. But we have like some in Riverside, LA, Canada. We've got them all over the place. We've got them all over the place.
Well, Devon, thank you so much for finally taking.
I'm sorry it took so long, but thank you.
No, and I know you're super busy. Like I said, I was telling somebody the other day that I interviewed, like, I kind of feel like a creep because I, follow all these people on Facebook that I want to interview, because I want to like kind of like get to know them and have a good conversation when I meet them, right? So like I know that you're always like running around, so like don't stress about like taking so long to meet. But I was really excited to do this because like I said, I mean, I follow you and I know the need that there is for owners to good owners to take all these pets home and give them a forever home. But yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you,
and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.